Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Legacy 4x4. Today, we're going to be working on a customer project actually that's completely outside of my comfort zone. It's not 4x4 related whatsoever. We're building is going to be a railing for the inside of a house along one of their staircases. It's a pretty simple and straightforward project, I think. I've watched a few videos from a few other creators on YouTube that show how they've done it, and I'm pretty sure we'll be more than capable of tackling this fun little project. With that said, let's go and get started on today's video. All right, starting off here, we're going to start cutting these 2x2 vertical uprights. There's going to be 4 of these total, and these are what's going to make up the vertical main supports for this banister. Once I'm done cutting them on the chop saw, I do like to come through the flap disc and just clean up the edges a little bit. That chop saw does leave a sharp edge. Moving right along, I need to make the floor mount brackets, and I'm going to use the plasma cutter to do this. Here you can see in real time how long it takes the plasma cutter to cut out one of these brackets. It's about 30 seconds total, which really is not that bad. If I was going to use a larger piece of steel and not just some scrap steel that I had, I could have had this arrayed and the cutter could have done all 4 of these at the same time. However, I'm trying to make use of some scrap steel, so that's why you see that little circle sitting there. Just using what we have laying around, trying to make the most of what we've got. Plus, way easier than coming out and pulling a full sheet on there, truthfully. Once I get this cut out, I am going to also have to cut out 2 little 1-inch by 2-inch caps. I'm going to cap the front and rear of this railing just to give it a cleaner, finished look. And here you can see the plasma cutter is cutting out both of those end caps. Having the plasma cutter, although it's a lot of work to maintain and keep up with, and building it obviously takes a lot of time, this really does help save me some time in other projects that I've been doing, and it's also just really nice to have for fun little stuff like this. Once we get the parts out of the water table, we can take them over to the welding table and then get ready to clean them up. Here you can see one of the brackets right when it comes off of the table. There's a little bit of slag and they're just dirty from the cutting process. I like to use a wire wheel to get in there and really clean up these parts when they come off the plasma table. It doesn't take very long, and it really does help make this a better end result. Occasionally, there is a little bit of slag that the wire wheel does not get off. In those events, that's what we have a slag hammer for. They're only a couple bucks on Amazon, and you can see if you just take it at an angle and just hit the bottom of the slag, it will pop right off. It's not held on by much force at all, so this is a pretty quick and easy process to clean these parts and get them ready for the next step. You can see what they look like here once we get done wire wheeling them. We got all 4 of the brackets and both the end caps. All right, back over to the saw here. We're going to cut the railings. These top railings are made out of some 1-inch by 2-inch 14 gauge wall thickness steel. And then we're moving over to the Certiflat table and we're going to go ahead and start laying this out and tacking it all together and make sure we're perfectly square. Once that's done, we're going to start tacking in some of these middle support pieces. These are made out of 1x1, cut to fit nice and snug on the inside of our 2x2. This first piece went together really quickly and easily, and now we're going to move on and we're going to start cleaning up the end cap portion that we welded on there to give this a nice finished look. Just taking a flap disc to it, just going to smooth it all out, clean off the welds, and kind of give this a full seamless look here. I'm doing this now L bracket piece up here, and you can see that I'm taking my time to make sure that I'm perfectly level and perfectly square with each one of these horizontal support pieces. I am using a piece of 1/2-inch plywood underneath all of them just to make sure that they're all at the right height away from the edges of the 2x2. And here I am just going through and welding all of them together. It is a deceptive amount of welding. You wouldn't think this would be a lot, but it does take longer than you would think it would to weld all those tubes all the way around. It does go by quick enough though, and now we've got the first half of this project completed right here. You can see that this is the upper L portion for what's going to be the staircase banister. And now we're welding on the first downward angled piece. I've got my digital angle finder, just a cheap one off Amazon. I confirmed the angle when I was at the house, and now I'm using that same angle finder to make sure that I have that railing at the same angle down that the staircase goes down, about 40 degrees. Next, I got to put on that very last 2x2 support at the very bottom of where the staircase will be, and we're going to go ahead and add an end cap at the bottom of that there. I do have a small gap to fill. Using that DeWalt cutoff saw does make it just a little bit less than perfect, but that's okay. Fills nice and easily with the welder. Just going to smooth this out just like I did the other side, to give it a nice clean finished appearance. This will get painted when we're all finished with this, so you won't be able to see a lot of those cut marks from the flap disc. Same process here that we just did for the L, and we're just going to go through and really make sure that we have all of these perfectly lined up and even so that they all fit up nice and neatly. I did measure out where each one of these should fit on the respective 2x2s just to make sure that they were all evenly spaced the entire distance down this banister railing. Goes by quick enough. I did have to put it on the floor here in order to get the final welds on some of these corners. It just was a little too hard and awkward with my garage to fit. Here my wife decided to come out and check on my progress. It was a nice welcome break after a few hours of working on this straight. But back to work now. I'm just going through with that same wire wheel and just cleaning up some of the welds. And then I'm going to go through after the wire wheel and I'm going to wipe everything down with a little bit of acetone. I do this to make sure that I've got perfectly bare steel before I take it over to go get painted. Also gives me a chance to inspect everything and make sure I didn't miss anything as I was building it. Like right here where I noticed I skipped an entire side of one of these rails welds. Went ahead, knocked that out, and then kept on going with the cleaning process. And here we have the finished product. I went ahead and skipped the painting process. It was boring anyways, and I forgot to record it. But you can see what this looks like fully installed here in the new house. There's obviously some trim work and some other stuff that has to get done, but that's not what I'm doing. I was just doing the metal work here. The customer did ask for that second railing kind of at the last minute of the project, so sorry you guys didn't get to see how that was made, but that was easy enough to do. Knocked it out quick and easy. This is what this looks like. I'm pretty happy with how this all turned out. Alright, so there you guys have it. That was a fun little video to make, and that was definitely an outside of my comfort zone kind of build, but I'm very happy with how it turned out, and it really gave me a chance to practice and perfect some of my skills on something that I don't normally get to work on. So it was fun to get a branch out, it was fun to get into something completely different, and I hope to continue more of these projects in the future because it's a nice fun thing to do and it gives you a break from just the constant 4x4 related projects. Speaking of 4x4 projects, I do have a new one to announce coming up soon. I just picked up a 1950 Willys truck, cab at least, and I'm going to build a custom framed pre-runner using a 1986 F-150 as a donor. So I've already started this project. I've been doing it the last couple of weeks while we've been doing some other stuff, but those videos start coming out in January, and hopefully you'll have a very steady stream of those videos as I continue to kind of stay a week ahead or so. Anyways, I hope you guys are excited for that. I am very excited for that build, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and take care.